Belleville Area District Library Board will please come to order. We will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. After all of that. I looked out as I was getting up, the vegetative roofs are in this building are starting to look so pretty. Everybody must look back here and over by the teen room.
Yeah, the weather presently is 3 weeks ahead of time,
Yeah, it seems to be all kinds of things. Your yard is 3 weeks ahead.
getting there.
Yeah, yeah. Can I borrow this pen of yours? Sure. We will have two members, well, we see two members and both have been asked to be excused. So I will ask our director to do the roll call since one of the missing members is our secretary. Mary Jo?
Candidates.
She has excused absence.
Fleming,
Here.
Hugh Scruggs,
Excused absence for Alma.
Jariga,
Present.
Peters,
Here.
Priest, here. Stonemeyer, here.
Good. Well, I'm sorry that we don't have a full house and I'm sorry that there's illnesses involved in those that are missing. Hopefully that everyone will get well soon. But I'm glad we have enough people to conduct our business. And so now we will move on to the approval of the agenda.
So moved.
It has been moved and seconded, moved by Jarita, supported by Priest, that the agenda be approved. Are there does anybody have any corrections or any additions? I do believe I asked you all in advance, but anyway, seeing none. All those in favor of approval of agenda, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed by saying nay. There are no negative votes. The agenda is approved. And also the minutes, which were distributed in advance and are in your packets. Item 3 on our agenda or item 4 is approval of the minutes, and I will now entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second. It was again moved by Jariga and supported by Priest that the minutes from April 9th be approved. Again, I'll hesitate before I call for the vote, just make sure if anybody has any comments or anything that you feel needs to be clarified. Okay, then we'll go ahead and take a vote. All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed by saying no. We have no negative votes and the minutes are approved. And now we move on to public comments. We do have a couple members of the public and I am so very happy that we do. Are there any comments either of you wish to make?
We'll have one comment. It's refreshing to be at a meeting and it's still daylight out. Last meeting I was at was dark.
Yeah, it is very nice to have the springtime and the longer days. Anything else? Then we don't have any more public comments and we can move on to committee reports. Committee reports begin with the building committee and our building committee chair, Joy Chehevitz, isn't here today. So I don't think there's any formal report, but if there's anything regarding the building that we need to talk about, can't remember if there was something in the director's report.
Yeah,
Oh, there is.
yeah.
She's not.
The flagpole light is out again.
That thing, and there's water up under there.
Yeah, so,
I was coming in
He
yesterday.
has contacted the electrician to come take a look at it, so.
I was coming in yesterday with people who didn't know what was wrong with me, while I was walking around looking at stupid windows. They stopped me.
I presume so.
There's water in there. There's
Yeah.
water droplets in that brand new one.
I
That
know.
went through all this trouble. Do you
So
think,
we're back to,
do you think we should just not have flagpole lights?
You have to,
well, you have to have them at
or
night.
take, pull
Yeah.
a flag down.
Flag down every night.
A lot of people just leave it up with the lights, but yeah,
That's not appropriate.
that's not appropriate.
And we are a public body, so we do things right.
So anyhow,
Well-
I'll keep you updated.
It's the same one.
It's the same one, so.
Yeah, it is the same, that was just, we went through all that, had to get,
It's
don't,
like-
we, no, I mean, that, isn't there a period of time
Like a
for,
word.
yeah, something?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I take it that that's all being investigated. You said Dean is coming or?
Yeah,
has come?
he's contacted the electrician to come take a look at it. And we'll go from there, we'll move on from there, so.
And I just got to cover though.
Mhm.
And that was it, probably.
Well, yeah, it had gotten wet before and then eventually it went from bad to worse, so.
But then did we get a new
Got a
cover?
new cover.
Yeah, we got a whole new deal.
Everything. So,
And we got water in it already, and I figured water would work for it.
oh no, I know they caulked really well and siliconed it and everything, so I don't know.
Maybe we could get some solar lights. Oh, well. Well, this is fodder for other discussion. It is disturbing that I don't think that the public is real concerned about those lights, but like I said, when we walk in, we're all looking down at that funny. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. John, did you have something about the building?
No, I have nothing.
You're the one that notices all kinds of things and it's appropriate. We all need to notice the little things and make sure everything is up to snuff. Well, Mary Jo, thank you for the information. But and as far as I know, it sounds, anybody else have anything about the building that they have concerns about? So we're kind of making our reports up as we go along. The bylaws committee, John,
No
one of these
report.
days, we'll have to get something out of you. But bylaws do pretty much stay the way they are, most of the time, and I guess we haven't had to do anything much with that. The finance committee does have a few things to talk about, I do believe.
Yep.
And I will turn things over to our treasurer and our director.
So included in your packet is the budget versus actual report for the first 9 months of the fiscal year. So this is for activity through March 31st of this year. So at the top of the report are the revenues. And if you go midway down the page, you'll see what our budgeted number is for this fiscal year, which is the $2,572,000. And then our 9-month budget is the 1.9 million. And our actual is just a little bit less than the 9-month budget. And that's mainly due to a timing issue, I believe, as it relates to the penal fines. So I think we have this like almost every report.
Yeah.
We kind of talked about maybe we should reflect the budget differently so it lines up better for when we actually receive the collections. But so that's the only issue that we have here with the revenues. Like I said, that's just timing.
What's the is it $1 in the contributions?
Yeah, I think someone ran something through the cash register the wrong way, so.
Oh. Yeah,
Well, we'll probably just roll that into just a regular donation.
okay. Yeah, it doesn't look like it's in the way it doesn't look like it's quite the way it should be.
Right.
But it also doesn't look like something we have to worry a lot about.
But we can reclass. And then below the revenues, you'll see the beginning of our expenditures. We start off with our personnel costs. So total salaries were favorable here by almost $65,000. You'll see that our employee health insurance, which is extremely important, but we may need to budget a little bit more there. So we need to do a budget amendment at some point. We can.
Yeah, this is, I'm gonna double check with our accountant, but this is, 10 months worth of healthcare
Mm.
rather than 9, so that's probably why.
I see. Mhm. That's a big budget item.
That's the only thing here that I want to bring to your attention. If you go to the next page. Now we start getting into some of our contractual expenses, our professional fees, and that sort of stuff, our utilities, our fixed costs. And here, the audit expense was a little bit, at the very top, was a little bit more than what we had budgeted for the 9-month budget, but we will be, because we're done with that.
That was the
year.
total, so
Yeah,
that.
so we're done for
okay.
the year,
Mhm.
so we're actually gonna end up being $5 to the good by the end of the fiscal year. Reading down further, you'll see contracted services. The budget is 15,000 and our actual is the 19,606, so there's a little bit of.
There was something that was put in the wrong category. There's an item in there that should have gone into hardware and software. And that was switched in April, so that should be okay.
If you go down near the bottom, you'll see the total for utilities, where we have like $86,000 budget. And our 9-month budget is 64.5, and our actual though is only 33,000, so we're 31 to the good. And I know this is an expense that with the new building, we didn't really know how much we needed to budget there, so we're still budgeting too much.
Very energy efficient building.
Yep.
Very impressed, yes.
And then at the very bottom of the page, you will see. Hardware software.
Yes.
So the budget is 80 for the year, 60,000 for the period, 21 actual, so there's significant funding available for the additional purchases there. And then for the next page. This is a lot of the travel expenses and office equipment and furniture purchases. You'll see that the budget for this category is the 55,000. The 9-month budget is 41,250, and the actual is 66,82. So there's still significant funding available here if we need it. Or maybe, you know, any replacements that we might need to do in office furniture purchases. So our total expenditures are $325,340 favorable. So as usual, Mary Jo does a great job of managing our finances.
That's good. On travel and meetings, are there anticipated meetings, staff or you, other people will be?
We had some librarians who went to the Public Library Association conference, so that I'm not sure that all of those costs have been reflected yet. That was in April.
I know we have had some staff participating in professional activities, travel and activities. But I see that, I mean, it's good that it's showing that we're in the good with the budget. Now, this is an update just for our information today, right? Because next meeting is when we pass the budget.
Next month is, yes.
Next month is when we have a little more heavy lifting as a board to really adopt a budget, but it's always, this is a good time to really look and see where we are this year, and I think it's a good time for the finance committee to be able to assess what kind of changes we might need to do. So any comments, questions for Tanya or Mary Jo? Okay, well, we appreciate the update and chance to really go over it pretty thoroughly and have it explained. So that'll help us when we get to our new budget adoption next month. So now our other meetings, I don't think we've had formal meetings on marketing and with Alma, who is not here today. I know we didn't have a formal meeting. We do have a issue that we're kind of maintaining, but I was not able to go. Was a Friends meeting on Saturday?
Mhm.
Was there was,
Yeah, they're mostly discussing the book sale they just had.
they had a lot to take care of.
How did they do, by the way?
They did very well. They had a lot of people coming through.
You had no numbers, and
I don't have them on me right now.
Not yet, I don't think,
I think, I wanna say it was about $1,800 that they made, but I'd have to go
great.
check on that, yeah.
my understanding was that it was that was during the time I had that big boot and surgery, and unfortunately, I didn't get here. It was such a beautiful day, and it would have been a great day to spend here and with the
And
plant
plant
swap.
exchange, yeah.
No, I wanted to come too.
Yeah, but a lot of, even though many of us, looks like we couldn't get here, a lot of people did. I know that it was popular, and I had a couple of people mention they came down here and enjoyed it.
Did you talk about the discussion we had about the friends and?
A joint activity. or
Yeah,
some kind of
because
activity.
I was.
Yeah, that reported on that, at their
Meeting last.
April
time.
meeting, yeah,
Okay,
so.
So it doesn't sound like there's any
nothing moving on it.
moving on that right now, but those book sales are the, the big things for the Friends, and that kind of activity, I think, took. It's understandable that would take there, and also we'll just see how that develops. I'm glad we have.
We gave you some ideas. and-
Yeah, yeah, you have a lot of great ideas. And speaking of great ideas, and Linda, Personnel Committee.
Nothing at this time.
Okay, then we get a little later in the year.
I can.
Oh, there's a
Short update.
little personnel for
We
here.
did receive some correspondence back from the labor attorney. I haven't had a chance to really go through it yet, but he looked at what we were kind of recommending as far as updates to personnel policy. He also gave us a document that showed other potential things that we could include if we wanted to in the policy. So I'm anticipating a committee meeting.
Oh, good, okay.
So
in
this
the near
will be
future. Yeah,
personnel and policy
Like a
joint.
probably like maybe like an ad hoc
Ad hoc.
committee between
Sure.
personnel and policy. We'll figure something out.
Yeah, we have, that's another thing.
Never sure where to put that one. You kind of go in either or both.
Well, it might be nice
Yeah.
to have
Yeah.
some input from both the
Yeah.
policy committee and the personnel committee. Our committees are not large, so we could maybe work that out, and like the issue with Friends is something we've been talking about for a few meetings. So it sounds like, and it was pending.
It's been pending, so,
Review,
yeah.
the review of the other attorneys, right? So now that's come in.
Mhm.
So that's good, that's progress. And policy committee, the other side of these two, that I think we've given the report for both those committees for right now, because I don't think there's any other policy issue coming up except for the personnel policy, right?
Right.
That's the only one we've talked
Yeah,
about
yeah.
before. Excuse me. And the art committee, I think we had a good full discussion. I don't know if it was last month or the month before when Michelle attended. And we certainly had activities because she's redone the display as was reported, and we got the student display now. And at this time, I don't know that there's any other brewing issues with our art committee. So I think that that takes care of our committee reports. We're moving along today. So this brings us to the one remaining board action item, which is the accounts payable, which I had in my hand a second, now I have it in handy. The accounts payable sheet is in your packet. And as always, we have to look at them, look at it and approve it. So white sheet, yeah, there you go. These are like, it's the nitty gritty. It has kind of leveled out to be kind of the regular things that we do for several years while we were building the building and doing, we had different looking lists, but this is kind of the basic stuff we have to pay for. Some of our programming and of course our health and all that stuff.
Plumbing repairs are here.
Yeah.
Lawn mechanical,
Mechanical?
they're here all the
Yeah,
time.
yeah, we had a variety of little projects with, some of the sinks, so.
We should put lawn mechanical on our staff.
Yeah.
Well, you know, when you think about it, plumbing repairs for, yeah, with the number of sinks, we have number of plumbing stuff we have. It's not surprising that we get them on here a bit, and that isn't, it's not like when the elevator people have to come on.
Right.
They're very expensive.
Motion, we approve the accounts payable as presented.
Good, there's a motion by Stonemeyer
I'll
and
second that.
a support from Jeriga that we approve our accounts payable. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed by saying no. Well, good. That, I believe, is our last action item for the night. And, yeah. And it's appropriate, we spend up the money. Not the worst, not the highest. But, so next on our agenda is our director's report, which we always look forward to, and I do again tonight. Mary Jo?
We are proceeding with our paperwork with the bank that, you guys had approved last month. That's ongoing. Programming, again, you had already mentioned about the book sale and the plant swap. It was also free comic book day that day. So we just had a wide variety of people coming through our building, and it was just a lovely day. The weather held out for the plant swap, and it was just a nice time to be in the library. So it's, as I said in my report, it continues to be one of my favorite days of the year here. This couple Wednesdays from now, the Phil Hale Jazz Trio will be back in our library. So May 29th at 7 p.m. That's just a really awesome program. So I'm looking forward to that. We did have our staff and service training day on April 29th. We covered a wide variety of topics. Everybody, I think, was exhausted when we were done. So we're all used to our attention being diverted in multiple directions while we're at work. We're always, kind of going in 10 different directions. So this was a chance to really sit down and concentrate on things, and that's kind of a skill that sometimes we forget that we have. But we covered, safety in the building, emergency procedures, active shooter training. We had some demonstrations on some of the databases that are available through Melcat, the Michigan E-Library, including the Learning Express Library and Novelist Plus. Learning Express has a lot of items that are available, test tutoring type things like the SAT and so on, GED. There's a unit in there for like learning how to do a resume and a template for putting a resume together. Novelist Plus has a lot of resources available for readers advisory, like if you read Louise Penny and you want other books that are like her. So it's a great sources for people to know about. So make sure our staff knows about them so that they can refer people to them. We had an instructional webinar on our library calendar software that we switched over, and it was not a moment too soon because 2 days later we switched to our new software. And I am very happy to say that it seems to have rolled out very smoothly. There was a lot of work on that to make sure that all of the bookings and events transferred from the old software to the new software without losing anything. So that's been going really well. And if you haven't had a chance to take a look at our website, you can see what the new calendar looks like, because it's really part of our website now. It looks really nice. So it's just it's a nice piece of software. I'm really happy with it.
I certainly miss Joy at this point
Yeah,
of
she
your
would be asking
reports.
lots of questions.
It's always interesting to hear the two of you talking about all these kinds of
Yeah.
Nuts and bolts of running a
Sure.
library.
Yeah. So we had breakout sessions, so there was a little workshop in the children's room for different tips for answering children's reference questions. For some of the people who worked down there that might not necessarily be a children's librarian, so that they can at least get some kids started on things. Troubleshooting, some of our technology. And then we closed out the day with those of us who are librarians in charge, doing some training on that, and that's the people who it's not so much during the week, but sometimes like on Sundays or weekends when we have a smaller staff, there's always like one person who's at least one person in the building who, the buck stops with them. So if the toilet backs up or somebody calls in sick, they have
Those
to
are
deal
the
with it.
fun
So just
things
kind
that they get to
of
deal with.
sorting through some things with them. As I mentioned, when we were looking at the budget, was it the budget?
budget.
I did have, Karen Dupke and Lindsay Lohr went to the Public Library Association Conference. I believe it was in Indiana this year. And, Lindsay focused on a lot of workshops on leadership and service and communication. Karen attended a lot of the youth services programs, collection development, teen services. They came away with lots of really good ideas, so it was good to send them. Okay. See, one outgoing staff, one promotion, and one incoming staff person. So, we had an outgoing clerk, Jasmine, who got a full-time job elsewhere. And to replace her, we actually ended up replacing with 2 library clerks, so we promoted someone from within our building. Micaiah Cannon, and then we also hired Levon Shepherd, so they're new to us. We about our library software, so I think
That covers
there's a lot happening this month, behind the scenes things.
Yeah, I wish I could channel the questions that Joy would have. Other than that, I think it's good for all of us to hear that.
So
Pieces
some
that-
getting retooling for summer reading program, so that's gonna be starting up in June.
Yeah. Yeah, that's coming along, and that's one of our biggies. That's one of our biggies, the last time we got together, we were talking all about the eclipse, which at least happened in the day. Now the northern lights, which I saw the Jerigas had beautiful views of the northern lights, didn't you?
I went out to look at them and I didn't see a thing, but then my wife took their phone and put it on photo, and
my
that's where
goodness, really?
that's where you could see it.
She got
Through your phone, I get the.
Where
were you? Here?
Yeah, it's front yard.
Our deck in the back.
Yeah,
Over
because
the
somebody
lake.
sent us a picture that we're using and she took it over the lake.
Yeah.
Debbie's was beautiful.
Debbie's picture was really pretty.
Yeah.
I went out and I just saw kind of like a purple sky.
Yeah.
And I took a picture, but it just was kind of a little bit purple. It didn't look really good. And then the next day I saw Debbie Jeriga's picture.
Oh, that was amazing.
Some of our neighbors are getting goods, and a couple in areas right around here had really great pictures, but of course they were beautiful all over, but something that happens at 11 or 10 or 11 at night is not good for a library program. Still, it's kind of interesting that both these things are happening, right, you know, kind of makes you aware of the cosmos. Well, thank you. Then this little articles on the lost books and the this, I didn't get a chance to look at it, this ebooks thing.
There's just a lot of,
Setting.
yeah, artificial intelligence. I'm starting to think of it as artificial unintelligence.
Yeah. I better read it
This
then.
first one is upset about the not lost in the book, because
Oh, yeah,
if you.
the decline in pleasure reading in children,
That's
yes.
sad.
Mhm.
You can see why though with the competition of all these things to
I think
get them to them, but
this is on topic, but it's a little. But I watched, and I know this is dating me, but I Remember Mama, the show, it's a,
Yeah.
because I have
we all.
100 classic movies. And in it, they have this man living with them that reads to them every night from the classics. And so, you know, I think that is really something that parents need to read more of the classics to their children, like Treasure Island and Little Women and things like that, because that really does instill a love of reading when you're a kid. That's what happened to me. I know.
Well, I think adults reading to kids, whatever they're reading to them, I have 3 granddaughters all the same age, and one of them is like. She has not lost the pleasure in reading. That's one that I can count on. It's gonna be lost in a book, so. It still happens, but it's
Rarer and rarer.
well. A lot of stuff, and then you do have to have that back to back to the one. I hadn't figured out what the topic on this garbage ebooks, but. The idea of having so much stuff.
Just a
that
lot of
isn't real
self-publishing or self-publishing, but with using AI
information.
and trying to sell it, and so there's just a lot of
And promoting it
stuff
like
that's
like a real book.
yes.
Yeah.
That's
That's disturbing, that's the kind of stuff that's out there to read, being what it is, that's disturbing. What is this?
Oh, we have a new mobile printing service, was switched out. I think this was a lot. This one's a lot easier to use. So if you have something, you know, at home that you want to print, you can print it and come pick it up at the library. You can print from your cell phone. So if you have a document, you can send it and print it out here.
Really?
It's amazing, right?
Your cell phone.
Mhm. And it seems to be working a lot better than the last software that we had. So we've been happy with it so far.
Answer that. I'm glad you asked. Although I don't, well.
There must be a charge for this.
Our
Regular
regular
printing.
charges, so that's on to copy. Yeah.
Wow. There's a lot of, I learn a bunch of stuff at home.
I don't even own a printer at home. I just come here and print.
Yeah.
Well, you know,
Working on it.
printers, I found the cartridges dry, if you don't
Dry
use
out.
it regularly, then the cartridge dries out, it doesn't do you any good.
So irritating.
And yeah, and
Expensive.
I had it when I was consulting and it was such a headache. And there's not even point in having the darn thing. So that was more of a waste of money. Well, we're moving right along, so we are now on item 9. And perhaps we are so chatty tonight, I'm sure there's somebody on item 9 who wants to start out their personal chat. John, good for you.
I want to thank Dan. The last meeting that we had, he brought up a story about FEMA and his family. And I went home and I talked to my wife about that. So she got on the internet and she applied. And I figured we wouldn't get anything, but anyway, we had, 2 days later, a FEMA representative came to
Came
the
to your
house.
house.
And 2 days after that, we found a $3,500 receipt in our bank.
That is
Wonderful.
wonderful, John.
I like the independent, because the independent was the one.
It's so.
That's, yeah, that's how we came to discuss it last time and said,
So
and then-
upset about that.
and then Rosemary was able to tell us that it had been extended, cause I had just, we got a little team, but I didn't have much damage, but I remember you saying that you had fun.
Well, probably off topic here, but does that cover close to like?
No, that's only about 1/10 of what I spent.
Yeah,
No.
from what
It's
John,
okay, it's a help.
Yeah.
We didn't expect anything,
yeah.
because.
Well, from what John said last month that he had spent, but it is
And
good. And do you know what the date they extended it to, Rosemary, do you remember?
I think it's past now.
It is, I do remember, I did go and did the same thing, I encouraged another neighbor to look into it, so.
Very positive.
So it sounds like it was pretty
Thank you.
painless then. I mean.
Oh, yeah.
A form and a telephone.
My wife did all the work.
I was,
Yeah.
I
Really
did,
painless.
I did it, and if I can do it, it was pretty painless. And the person came, right, you put it in there, the little woman came, like the next day she called up, and the day after that she was there, and
You don't
Our
think about our
government
government as being that responsive, do you?
yeah.
No.
Well, I think the big thing was when they, got it declared that this was a disaster area.
Yeah,
Cause then,
Right.
you know, you just entered your,
Zip code.
your zip code and they came up with the dates, you know, so the dates of that disaster.
Right.
But
Hmm.
it is good to know that it was quite a disastrous disaster.
that's.
I mean, not like, oh my lord, every time you look at them,
I just wonder how many.
not
other
like
people
tornadoes.
Read your article.
Well, that was a tornado.
And turned, I just wonder how many other people read that and filed a claim because of that, because I know my mother-in-law wasn't gonna do anything. And it was really through our team that says, hey, you need to maybe file a claim, and who knows, you know?
Sure.
And she did, and she got significant money. So,
Oh, good. And I think you did bring it up in trustee comments, didn't you? I don't know.
I brought it up even before the meeting.
maybe so.
I don't know. Well, anyway, see,
Also, I'll also like to thank Debbie Dingle for recognizing the Rosies in Washington. Well, and she's recognizing them in Washington, but obviously the Rosies is a historical thing around here,
yeah.
and I was pleased to hear that.
Mhm. Yeah, she was real active at big event that a number of people, a lot of people I know did participate in that. Debbie was very active with them.
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. That's a good way to open up. Who wants to go next?
Okay,
Dan.
I wanted to, comment on how beautiful the flowers are
Yeah,
out in front of the library. I mean, they're just, I don't know who does them, but they're gorgeous.
garden,
Garden
Fantasy.
Fantasy,
Yeah.
Tyler Road, yeah.
the garden fantasy up on Tyler
And
Road.
that's this is their last year.
Yeah.
We were there on Sunday, because it was their 50th year.
Yeah.
They were
She keeps
celebrating it.
days there like.
She had me out in front.
Yeah.
She said, she told me.
Because her husband keeps wanting to go on and she knows if he stops, he's done.
Yeah.
Well, I talked to him too, and he said,
Yeah.
no, we're done. He was,
Okay,
for sure.
All right.
I don't know. That's what they told me.
Not until next.
We'll wait till next year.
Well, they have.
I
done
told
a
her we
lovely
miss
job.
her.
Is there any chance that we'll get flowers up on our patio?
Oh, yeah.
We will, okay.
Yeah, they do those too.
Yeah, pretty soon, probably big beginning of, NMA beginning of June.
You know, that's what we usually do. It's just that this year, May has
Season's
been
early.
such
Yes,
a,
right.
yeah. But I know when I came over here, I hadn't been over because of this leg. I hadn't been out of the house much, but I came over yesterday and noticed the flower pots and there's great big hydrangea bunches in there. It's really pretty. Each one was pretty.
And then
Yeah, Joyce Rehowick and Walt Rehowick are the ones that do it.
Really do a nice
So
job.
and they are about town quite a bit, so when we see them, we'll have to comment too.
I also wanted to comment on our webpage. I think that looks really, really nice. And I use your the library website constantly and it's a drastic difference in the way it appears. I mean, very, you know, it's very professional. I mean, it looks really, really nice. Nice improvement. So I thought that was certainly worth mentioning. The only other thing that I had to say was I won't be here for next month's meeting. So you guys are.
Well, we miss you, but that doesn't sound like it's for sickness, so. that
No,
sounds
I'll just
like-
be out of town.
That sounds like it might be for a good
Yeah.
thing, so
Yeah,
we're
That
glad.
time of year when you
yeah,
start taking
yeah,
trips.
yeah.
Yeah, this time of the year, you better take them, yeah. Well, now the men have shown leadership. What about you ladies?
I just want to thank Mary Jo, because I know she's been very busy. Just looking at all the activities that we have going on here, and I know my son is spending a lot more time up here, and he always enjoys it. So, but yeah, so thanks for handling our finances, running our library, and, you know, the training that you're sending staff to, I think is also very important, so I think you're kind of doing everything, so, thank you.
Well, and I think the two of you on the budget items, I was over here and talked briefly with Mary Jo about it, but then I said, has Tanya looked at it? That's my kind of default. That's my kind of default. I guess it's okay if Tanya's. But I thank you both for presenting it and breaking it down so that all of us understand what's going on with our finances. Linda.
Well, I usually come early to the meeting, so I was sitting in the fireplace room and listening, reading, and then one of the, I think she's a librarian, was training someone. And she was talking about, what did you call it again? The playaways? Playaways.
Yeah.
So there's always something to learn, new things that are going on. This is these are books, and they're in this little package. And all you need are headphones, and you plug it into this little device and it plays the book. I have never
What's it
seen
called?
it. It's called a Playaway. I wish I would have had it on my vacation because they had stupid movies on the plane. But it just seemed so good, and she was very nice. She showed me how it worked and everything, and so I'm gonna be doing that.
You have to plug it in, or do you have?
Plug it with earphones.
I have earphones, but I don't plug anything in and just,
No, this is to hear the book.
yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
It's almost like a little.
Do you need a wire to plug in, or?
No, it's battery operated.
It's all battery operated. You
Yeah.
just plug in the headphones.
Isn't
I
that cool?
don't plug in,
Yes.
I just,
He said.
Well, you need ones that.
Yours are
This
wireless,
is more-
yours are wireless, is that what you're?
Yes.
Okay.
yeah,
this
this
is-
work.
It's not gonna work on the wireless. This is more low tech. This is,
Oh, okay.
yeah. Yeah.
But you probably have some old ones. Don't you think? That you can plug in, no?
You get them off
I
the
don't know
plane.
anymore.
Right, you
Yeah.
can get them from the plane.
Once
You
you.
probably.
Well, just
I
those
bet you
kind
have
of, those
that.
kind of
That's right.
earplugs like they have in the plane will work.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Thank you.
So anyway, I
Yeah.
just thought it was very cool, just that. There's always something new going on. That's probably not new, but it's new to me. And, just be aware, look around, just come or walk around here. It's very,
Well, good. Well, thank you, board. I really don't have a whole lot of things to talk about it. We've had a real good discussion, and I've been running my mouth all here and there through the thing, so maybe we'll just compile it all and call that my comments, but I do appreciate, I haven't been in the library as much this month because I had a foot surgery early in the month, but thankfully, a few hours ago, I went to doctor and he took the boot off, and so I was able to drive myself here today. And you know, after you go for a few weeks and you can't just go in your car and go where you wanna go when you wanna go. It's very nice to be able to, so I'll be popping in, I'll be back to popping in. But I do appreciate the good comments and the good camaraderie that we have here on this board, and I also appreciate that we've had a pretty speedy meeting tonight, and if John might have one more thing to say.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that this meeting be adjourned.
I'll second.
It is moved, seconded, and everybody approves. Our meeting is adjourned.